Service and Support Administration, and I will be sending out those CPD units after the webinar. You are required to attend the full webinar to receive those units as well. And I will hand this off to Lori, and she will introduce our panelists.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lori Furbrush. I'm the Assistive Tech Coordinator from Fairfield, Fairfield County Board of DD, and I had the pleasure of helping to set up our discussion today, and it is on electronic GPS wearable devices, and we just wanted to kind of put it out there what that actually means for anybody who may be like not totally understanding what we were talking about. So what an electronic GPS device is just a device that is worn on the body that uses GPS or global positioning system technology to track a location of somebody. And there can be many different purposes, and I'm sure our presenters today will talk about some of the uses for that. So today we have the pleasure of having representatives from AngelSense, Boundary Care, and from True Care who would be talking about the Smart Soul device with us today. So we'll kick it off with AngelSense.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Daigle. I'm from AngelSense. I'm the Director of Business Development. I'm going to actually share, if I can, my screen. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of slides. I just want to give you a little bit of a background. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing, I just want to talk about how the lives of special needs individuals are positively impacted using AngelSense technology, so that way they can overcome and cope with challenges, especially when it comes to safety and independence. So what is AngelSense? It's an advanced assistive technology that provides maximum safety and greater independence to our most vulnerable loved ones with autism, special needs, dementia. It includes a wearable GPS and assistive speakerphone that also has a user-friendly app for multiple caregivers, whether that's parents, family members, teachers, therapists, remote service providers, or even law enforcement. With that, I'm actually going to stop sharing this screen. I want to show a quick video. It's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It really helps complete the entire picture of what AngelSense can do, so you don't have to listen to my voice the entire time. I just need to make sure I shared sound, and we should be good to go. All right, if the sound doesn't work, make sure to stop me.
We don't see anything playing yet.
That is definitely a problem. Stop sharing. Of course, we're talking about technology, and this happens all the time. Okay, to share audio, share a tab instead. Let's try this. Okay.
I still don't think we're getting anything.
Well, you know what? We're just going to scrap that idea then, and you can just suffer through me presenting. So part of wearing AngelSense, what we want to do first is create safety, because without safety, you can't have independence. And there's a lot of challenges in the special needs community that I'm sure you're really familiar with. So we use 3 pillars that we do that with. Each pillar is kind of the foundation of the next one. So first, we're going to cope with safety concerns, whether that's elopement, transportation, or even caregiving. And then the next one is the ability to provide effective remote support through our auto pickup speakerphone. So caregivers or remote support companies have a proactive notification to let them know when support is needed. And then we have a whole toolbox that you can access to be able to utilize this in case of an emergency or just check in on the end person. And once we can have these 2 pillars, we can actually start to go the third, which is to lead to independence. So provided whether a parent, caregiver, supports coordinator, the best opportunity for an individual, as we all know, is the least restrictive environment for better community integration and overall positive effect on quality of life, not only for the individual, but for all of their loved ones. So with each skill that's introduced and learned, it leads to a greater independence for that individual. Now, we do have two different devices. This is our original device. This is actually my favorite device because it's very versatile to be able to wear. I can wear it, especially because I travel the country and I travel alone. It's really nice to be able to have this because it can be worn discreetly, which I'll show you in a minute. And that SOS button is on the front, so people can request calls from their caregivers. And then when you call the device, it automatically picks up. The second one is the watch option. Looks like any old standard watch, and the SOS button on that one is on the side. These two devices act exactly the same. They have the same AI technology backing them. It's just whether you want the time and heart rate, steps, and that kind of stuff. The date on the front of the watch is the only obvious difference, but a lot of people can't tolerate wearing watches. So with this device, my favorite wearing option, which automatically comes with it when you get it, is this sleeve pouch. All you do is pop the pin out. It's like those anti-theft devices in stores. Take it out, pop the device inside. You can put it inside someone's pants pocket. Use two to wear along the waistline. I'll wear it underneath my skirt or anything like that, or a dress, and nobody knows I have it on. And then as soon as that's secure, I know I'm not going to lose it, because the amount of times I lose my cell phone a day is quite frankly embarrassing. So it's good to know that this is always constantly on me. Now with that, we have a lot of other wearing options because no one individual, it's not one size fits all. So we do have these shorts we just came out with. They are a very nice material. The device goes in the side. It has to go up and then down. And then the same idea is with a sensory friendly shirt. Everything is sensory friendly. Our customer care support team is completely made out of special needs parents who use it with their children and even their elderly parents as well. So when you call, you're not getting just a support, you're not getting the call center. You're actually getting somebody who cares, who's been there. And if they haven't been there, they've heard of it. So with the shirt, it acts the same way. It's reversible. It's a nice tight shirt. One of our clients, on our customer care support team, her son calls it his Huggy. He loves this shirt. And then we also just came out with this sports bra. And I'm not going to lie, as soon as I got these shorts and sports bra, when they first came out, I had to try them on. I got them in my sizes and it was so comfortable. I'm so jealous. There's nothing in my closet that's that comfortable. And then especially when we're talking about little girls or those that like to strip down before they leave, which is very common, or maybe they have toileting issues, we have a sensory friendly cut to fit belt that works the same way as that pouch that I showed you earlier. So it just pops in the side, goes along the waist, so that way it can't go above the shoulders, below the hips, and you know it's going to stay safe and secure with one of those pins right here. We have a lot of other wearing options, and then when it comes to the watch, we do have different bands. So this is the band that automatically comes with it. And we do have this one, which reminds me kind of the Apple ones. Don't ask me because I don't like wearing watches. We do have a lockable one as well. The cool thing about the lockable one is that you actually lock it before you put it on. And then as it's on the wrist, you click down and you're going to hear a click. And that, so it's not like you're actively like tethering someone to something. And then we also have this Velcro band as well, especially for those with fine motor dexterity issues or anybody that, you know, wants to go outside a lot in the summer and doesn't want anything that could be like a little bit sweaty around your arm. And it's very washable. So those are wearing options. The one thing that really puts us apart from all other GPS devices is that it is proactive alerts. It's not reactive. It's not an Apple AirTag. It's not Life 360. It's not anything like that. The caregiver is going to automatically get an alert to their phone. So as soon as I leave my house, I get an alert. If I'm in a new place that I haven't been, I get an alert. If I show up somewhere, I get an alert. So it's always running in the background. It does not kill your phone battery. Like I said, I travel the country, which is quite remarkable that it, you know, those apps that can really like drain your battery down. This doesn't do that. When it comes to affordability, it is covered by all of the waivers throughout Ohio. And we do work with so many different remote support companies as well that can also bill that through the waiver. And we can help support them if someone doesn't have an individual, or maybe mom needs a break for 5 hours every day. It's hard being a caregiver, and we don't want that caregiver strain. So we can work with potentially anyone to give access. We just draw up those contracts. We also have contracts for schools. That's another question we get a lot. Schools don't want that in their system, but we find that we have a school liaison. She worked in the school systems. She'll draw up a contract between parents, school, and us that says it'll be turned off. You'll both be notified for, like, usually the one-way voice is the only thing. But really, they just need to understand its purpose. We can actually give access to them for temporary hours as well. If you're going to pay out of pocket, we really try to help individuals that don't have waivers or local funds or grants or anything that can pay for it. You're talking about $538, about $540 essentially for a year. So it's about $50 a month, like a cheap cell phone bill, essentially, because we do run off of SIM cards, which brings me into reliability. So since we run off of SIM cards, we have alternative SIM cards that we can switch it out for to make sure it is reliable in that network. And in case of an emergency, you can always be able to track somebody and have that backup. Now, I'm not sure how I'm running on time, but I can show you guys my app and all of that kind of stuff, or we can just schedule a meeting later with anybody who would like to learn more, and I can walk you through all of those different emergency alerts and how easy it is to make a call, and everything in the app is customizable. So if you just want it for GPS, it can be very, very low level, just you get those alerts wherever they're going and have the calling features. But if you want to know if somebody didn't make it to school on time within 5 minutes, didn't leave a day program within 5 minutes, if somebody is in an unknown area, if you want to do voice reminders for waking them up, or just task when they get home, if you can't greet them at the door, just to remind them of those things, that is all built into the app, and we are happy to discuss that with anybody who would like to use it.
All right, thank you. And I think we are going to save the app for different meetings just so that we can make sure that we're getting through everybody. But next we have Boundary Care and Nick.
Thank you. I don't know if I can take over screen sharing here. Do I just steal it from her, or does it have to be stopped?
You should be able to steal it from her.
All right, I will attempt that. Did I steal it? All right, everyone can see it? All good? Cool. All right, so to kick it off, I'm Nick. I work with Boundary Care. A little disclaimer, I have the end of fall cold going on, so I'm a little raspy and I might get a sip of water as I'm talking, so please bear with me on that. But getting right into the product, since we don't have a lot of time, we are Boundary Care, and we focus in on, of course, wearable devices. More specifically, we work with a specially configured watch. This watch is focused on getting clear, actionable alerts to caregivers when certain thresholds are crossed. We monitor for all different things, but we kind of categorize them into these 4 categories. We work with fall detection, we work with seizure-like symptom detection, we do elopement, and then we also do behavioral support. Now, I'm going to drill down on that a little later, but first I want to show you kind of an overview of how our product works and what it looks like, so you can kind of grasp that, because it can be a little overwhelming at first. So to keep it really simple, the person that's being cared for is going to wear the Boundary Care watch. That watch is going to passively collect data, send it up to our cloud, and then distribute it to our web portal. So our web portal is accessed via an application on both iOS and Android devices. And we also have a personal dashboard that is accessible via a website. The phone is used as a kind of alert system. Caregivers can log in, they get all of their alerts when things go awry there. They can reach out to the individual, they can get an overview of their health metrics. Whereas the personal dashboard is a way to really dig in and look at the analytics of what's going on. You can look at things that have happened up to an incident. So for example, if someone falls, what was going on with their body before the fall? What was their heart rate? What were their O2 levels, et cetera? And then last but certainly not least, we also can send this information to remote support companies. So TrueCare is on the call today. They're one of them. We work with a handful of others in Ohio. We can actually send these alerts directly to your remote support company so that it's all cohesive in one portal. Next slide. So I talked about, the 4 different categories that we work in and just the information that we collect in each one of those categories. So every one of these check marks are different data points that we collect. I'm not going to read them all to you, but to keep it like kind of baseline, we do hard fall detection for fall detection. We can monitor gait. We do gait monitoring. We can look at the location of falls when they happen. As I said, you can look at contributing factors to those falls like heart rate and O2 levels. For elopement, we have a robust GPS tracking system with safe zones, safe itineraries. We can do speed monitoring if someone gets in a car and is going too fast. We also do emergency calling. So the watch is cellular enabled. It has an auto answer feature, so you can communicate directly to the individual that's wearing the watch. I'm going to skip over seizure because it's very in depth, and I know a lot of people are interested in seizure symptom detection. So just talking about behavioral real quick. Behavioral supports, we do 2 different types. We do reminders and we do de-escalation protocols. So reminders are your basic scheduled reminders that you set, for example, taking medication in the morning, letting the dog out in the evening, taking a shower at night, stuff like that. De-escalation protocols actually pull the information that's being collected by the watch and will send out de-escalation protocols to the individual when things start moving in the wrong direction. For example, if someone is prone to fainting and falling down, when their O2 levels start to drop, an alert would go to the individual to let them know to sit down, try to de-escalate them from the situation before it happens, avoid hospitalizations, avoid ER visits, etc. Now into the seizure symptom detection. So again, I know this is a very popular one. We can monitor for both types of seizures. We do the convulsive seizures and the non-convulsive seizures. I know that's generalizing them, but it's just the easiest way to talk about them. So for the convulsive seizures, we have a rapid muscle movement detector in the watch. So if someone is having a convulsive seizure and their heart rate goes above a certain level, an alert would go out to a caregiver letting them know that a seizure is taking place. We also work in the non-convulsive or the absence seizures. Those are a little more tricky and they take some cooperation with the caregiver. Really, the reason for that is everyone's body reacts differently when they're having those seizures. We need an incident to occur, and then we need the caregiver to let us know that it happened so we can look at the watch, see what it was collecting, and start to train it to detect those seizures. We've had a lot of success with folks who are that do work with us. They've had a couple of instances. We can tell the watch, hey, when their heart rate gets to this level and their O2's here, they're probably having a seizure. We can teach the watch to do that and send those alerts out. So those are the 2 different types of seizures we work with. We are a build your own solution. So I mentioned all of those things, and I know it's a crazy amount of different data that we collect, but we are build your own. We are person centered. If you only care about seizure symptom detection, we can get everything else just taken off, not being monitored. And that's the one thing. If you want every boundary care feature, you can do that as well. It's all included in our monthly fee. It's all included in the watch that you receive. I mentioned the dashboard. I usually do a live presentation of the dashboard. I'm not sure if I have enough time to do that, so I'm just going to stick with the screenshots today. I'd be happy to set up a call with anyone who's interested and go kind of more in depth on this dashboard, show you all the cool features that we have in these dashboards because it really is cool. So you'll see I don't know if you can see my mouse, maybe not, but you'll see the map with the location of the watch and the person, and then a safe zone that was built around it. So that would be their home. Safe zones are completely customizable. You can do any shape, any path you want. Underneath that, you'll see location history. So you can actually, bring that slider back and you can see every point that they were at every time the watch pinged, every couple minutes. So you can monitor their location history. And then everything underneath that is your widgets. It's going to show you your battery level of the watch. It's going to show you your heart rate. If the widget is red, that means an alert went off. That means the heart rate was too high or there was a fall. If you want to monitor for daily energy burn, you can do that. You can monitor for steps. You can do sleep score. It's kind of endless, and we're always adding more and more features that the watch can detect. So it's a really cool system. And it's, you, like I said, you can use it for as little or as much as you want. If all you care about is where the person's located, we got that. If you want to know what their sleep score was and make sure that they're getting their daily activity goals and their steps, then we can do that too. So really quickly, because I do want to get to questions, I want to talk about alerts. So I keep mentioning alerts, alerts, alerts. They are the most important part. There's no reason to have boundary care if you're not going to get the alerts sent to your phone and you're not going to be aware of what's going on. So we do different types of alerts. We do broadcast and waterfall when it comes to outgoing alerts. So for broadcast, say you have 3 caregivers on one person. When the heart rate gets too high or any of those things I mentioned occurs, the alert would go out to all 3 of those people at one time. We also have what we call waterfall alerts. This is for if you're working with a group where there's a primary caregiver and then there's, that's on call, and then there's a primary caregiver that's there, and then you have like a secondary caregiver that might be on call, and a tertiary, and so on and so forth. You can actually have the alert go straight to the primary caregiver, and then after the fact, you can have it go to the secondary and the tertiary if those alerts are not acknowledged by the previous caregiver. So those are the 2 types of alerts we work with there. And then with feedback, this is what I talked about with the reminders and the de-escalation protocol. You can send feedback to the individual. You can cheer them on for their step goal. If you're doing something like that, you can remind them that they need to, let the dog out when they get home from school. You can remind them that they need to take their medication in the morning. And then you can also send them de-escalation protocols like, hey, you're getting agitated, your heart rate's getting too high. Why don't you can send pictures to the watch, why don't you, pick up this book, or why don't you go play with this action figure, or go to your safe spot if they have a safe spot in the house. And then of course, outreach, that's just your phone calling. Again, cellular enabled device, auto answer feature, you can talk both ways. And that's what outreach is. In the kit, we have the phone, we have the watch. It's all going to come together all in one. You get some charging cables as well. And then what I think is most important, but that's because I'm involved in it, is you get our support, whenever you need it. We're always up to get on a call with you, teach you some new features. It can be overwhelming in the beginning. We'll do tutorial calls with you. We'll show you how some easy features work, and then we'll go in depth if that's what you're interested in. Teach you how to pull data history, and just we're always here to help. So that's all included in the Boundary Care Kit and in the monthly subscription. So I'll leave you guys there. I'm not going to talk you to death, even though I probably already did. So I'll throw in the white flag. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. If you think of any after the fact, you can always shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to either answer it there or get on a call with you.
Thank you, Nick. And as a reminder to everybody, there is a Q&A feature and a chat feature. So if you think of something while someone is going through it, feel free to put something in there, and we will also be answering questions towards the end as well. So Zach and Ashley, that will bring us to you.
Hello, I'm Ashley with True Care Provider Services. And so True Care is an agency that provides HBC services. We have a day program in Cincinnati. We have NMT and individual employment services, as well as shared living. But what True Care Provider Services is here to talk about today is that we specialize in providing remote support solutions and assistive tech, and for organizations that also serve individuals with disabilities. So we're a team of experienced professionals that can work with people to develop personalized plans, manage tasks, and ensure efficient delivery of support. For a unique model of services that can take agencies to the next level. And we wanted to talk to you about some of these devices that are on here today, and about the shoe insole. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, hi, I'm Zach Lipsitz. I'm one of the IT managers here at True Care Provider Services. So most of my job is, of course, looking into things like this, as well as getting it set up for people and finding what else we can use as well. So as a remote support provider, we've actually utilized both Boundary Care and AngelSense devices for individuals before. And though they are great for so many of them, Unfortunately, some of them who have intense sensory issues and refuse to wear watches, or in some cases even clothes, which we have run into, of course, usually keep their shoes on. And so we found a great solution to those specific individuals called smart soles. The smart soles are shoe insoles with GPS capabilities. They have no external charging ports, so it is water resistant, which I will get into, as well as it charges wirelessly on a charging pad. It takes about 2-4 hours to fully charge, and it lasts about 24 to like 96 hours. So it usually involves putting it in the individual shoe, taking it out at night, every other night, or and charging it, and it should be good to go. The soles get set up using a web browser. Then afterwards, you can download an app for easier access and whenever wherever you want to use it. And these can be set up for remote support services, so that remote staff can utilize and monitor the apps and the alerts. Which during elopement, remote can stay in contact with emergency services or on-call backup to ensure the individual's safety and making sure we know where they're going and what's happening. These services can be discussed, of course, and covered through IO waivers, Level 1 waivers, self waivers, or private pay. And guardians, loved ones, or natural supports, or in-home staff can also utilize these themselves to help them better care for individuals. Notifications about these can be set up as either push notifications through the app that you get with it, or text messages or emails. So you can just get a direct line saying they've gone this way or this thing has happened. We've been bringing the smart soles actually to fairs and conventions ever since we found them, and it's kind of become the most popular thing we bring. And so I've made sure to write down some of the answers to some of the most common questions we get, being the smart soles come in either small, medium, or large. Once you get them, the front half of them, you'd cut those to fit the shoe size. They can come in children's. The small comes in children's 3 and 4 sizes. So you could cut them to those. I don't think you can go any smaller with them. Since they have no charging ports, it's water resistant, as I was saying earlier. You just can't wear them into a pool. So no submerging them for a long period of time, but getting drenched in the rain or puddles is completely fine. You can set geofences with them, like the other devices being talked about today. The minimum radius is about like 250 feet, and you can get notifications for both leaving and entering defined zones. So you can set it up to where you want to know when they leave a certain area, or if there's an area you want them to avoid, you can get a notification when they enter that area. And that is the most common things that we've been asked. But if there's anything else that anybody else wants to know about it, we are happy to answer any of those questions. So there we go.
All right then. So we do have quite a few people on as attendees. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you have a question, then you can go ahead and raise your hand and I can go ahead and unmute you. And you're more than welcome to also post in the Q&A feature as well.
I was just going to ask all of the 3 companies, what can you share a success story that you know of where somebody has used the product and it's been very beneficial?
Yeah, I think I didn't know if you wanted us to lead off with that because I saw it as part of the agenda, but we can certainly keep going and talk about the success stories with the shoe insoles. So we have a couple, and Zach, I'll tell one, and then you could tell the our most commonly talked about, because they're total opposite. So and they're used quite a bit for these 2 types of stories. So, but One individual we talk about a lot because it's people don't like to wear things. They have sensory issues. We have a guy who does like to strip down all of his clothes, and so we talk about frequently wearing these because he'll wear his shoes. So the mom was really happy to have this device because they live on a plot of land where he likes to wander. It's in the country, and now he has these because he'll slip on his shoes and go outside and walk around. And they have some water there. It's like a pond, and she can set it to where if he goes beyond the certain point, she knows he's not going to get in the pond. So, and she monitors this herself, so she's able to see that he's safe. And so that is one of our biggest success stories because she feels really safe knowing that he's safe. So we talk about that a lot. He's completely undressed except his shoes. So, and Zach, do you want to talk about
Yeah.
one of our other? Yeah.
Yeah. So the other one that we have absolutely completely opposite story is he has in-home staff, but
And
the
remote
issue
support.
was and remote sports, and the issue was that he would, whenever any staff member was using the restroom or doing something that they would need to be preoccupied with, he would use that opportunity to go, I'm going to leave now. And so we not only were helping any emergency services find him if anything happened, but in those moments when he would leave, we would also communicate with the in-home staff and make sure that they could follow where he was going, or just knew he was still being safe and not going anywhere dangerous like that. But yeah.
Yeah. So the staff would monitor. Yep. They at the same time.
I have one of few. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Ashley, I thought you were.
You're good, Nick. You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll give one too. I mean, I have a few, but I think I have a seizure one, but I'll do like one with the behavioral support just because I think it's more common. So we had a person who was prone to like emotional outbursts, and a lot of times when he would get upset, he would leave the house or he'd pose a danger to himself. Um, so with boundary care, I talked about like the de-escalation protocols, and of course we have the GPS tracking. So we were able to help with the de-escalation protocol when he would get upset. The heart rate on his watch would send an alert to the caregivers, letting them know that he was getting agitated. It would also send a little message to him telling him to calm down. It's to show like I think it was a picture of like his favorite superhero or something, and that worked a couple times, but then of course, it's not always going to work. And eventually he still stormed out of the house, and they were able to use, the emergency GPS tracking to, they were alerted that he left the house, and then they could use the emergency tracking to find exactly where he was. So I think that's a good example just because it shows the different steps that boundary care can take, using our different features to try to just de-escalate a situation, but have that safety net in case the situation gets out of control, which would be that emergency tracking. So that's mine.
And Caitlin, do you have any as well? I know you're kind of frozen on my end. I don't know if you're frozen on anybody else's. No? Might just be me. All right. Nick, would you mind sharing the Cedar story? Because I am curious about that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So again, it's kind of one of the stories that has like multiple features that are being utilized. But we had a person who had nighttime seizures. They were prone to nighttime seizures, and their heart rate would start to race. Their O2 levels would drop, and she even would fall out of the bed sometimes. And because they were at night, her mom didn't always wake up when there was a problem. So with boundary care, we can obviously detect that a seizure's happening, send very loud and persistent alerts to her mother's device. You can set that up so it's it doesn't stop unless they're acknowledged. So that kind of takes care of the issue with her not being able to wake up. And then of course, if she were to fall out of the bed, you have the fall alert as well. So the mother was able to wake up when those instances were to happen. She'd be able to go and take care of her. Not only was that able to help the health of the individual, but it was also gave the mom a little peace of mind because she knew that when she falls asleep, like she will wake up if something goes wrong. And then we have another way to make her even more comfortable and just put her mind at ease, because we can add that second caregiver if it's not responded. So we were able to, I think it was the brother or her son, that was the secondary caregiver. So if for some reason those loud, persistent alerts did not wake the mom up and she wasn't able to hit, ignore, after I think it was 2 or 3 minutes, an automatic alert would then go to the secondary caregiver, which was her son, to get him out of bed to wake up mom and go take care of the individual. So again, just kind of steps in how boundary care can help, the different features kind of working together, which I think is always really cool to see. And I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, and as a provider, you really want to talk through with the team and do an assessment on what the individual needs. We really like to make sure that we're discussing and doing a thorough assessment, because you talk about sensory issues, and we like to make sure we're meeting the person where they're at, what the needs are, and having a total discussion, because you do have those sensory issues. And Nick may be able to walk through, like, oh, we have all these kinds of bands, right? Like we work with Nick and Catalin all the time. So it's good to see them on here. And then if those two options don't work, then we're talking about the shoe insole. And I think that's why we're here talking about that, because we've talked about why this person's going to use the shoe insole, why this person uses boundary care, and why Angel Sense works. So it's really about the person and what their needs are and how that option is going to work for them.
And that's why I love True Care, by the way. A little just plug them right back, because they do that, and I understand, and I'm sure Catlin understands too. Sometimes our product isn't for an individual, and it really helps for someone like True Care to be able to look at the whole picture, what's going on. They understand that individual way more than I ever will, because I'm working on the boundary care side of things. I'm looking for it to fit, whereas they're looking for a fit. So I think that's really important to have someone on your back like True Care to look out for you. So
Thanks. It's about them, about the person.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, I don't see any questions that came through the Q&A. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, you can raise your hand and I will unmute you. We did have a comment that's from Billy, and she said that she thinks what the session really highlights is that there is not just room for all types of virtual support, but really a need for all of us to be able to partner with what our communities need. And then we do have somebody who just raised their hand. Ashley, you good?
Can you hear me?
You're very faint. Ashley, are you still there? All right, Ashley, I'm going to mute you, but if you do think of something within the next couple minutes, then you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask that question. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but if we can help, let us know. Does anybody else have a question?
Yeah, maybe we could give Ashley a second. She could try to type the question. One thing I forgot to mention too, we are also covered by all the waivers in Ohio. I just kind of assumed that everyone knew that, but then I realized when I stopped talking that I didn't mention it, so it's worth saying.
All right, I don't see anything from Ashley yet. Lori, do you have anything that you would like to add before we wrap up? Okay. All right, well, I appreciate everybody coming, though we're going to go ahead and end our webinar a little bit early. If anybody does have any questions for any of the individuals who were on, feel free to email any of them or reach out to myself and I can go ahead and get you in contact with anybody else as well. All of our emails are on the page where you registered as well. So if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us. And I appreciate all of the panelists going and talking about your different products as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.